All right, we're on. We're recording. So our first video that we're going to do. So I suppose we better just introduce who we are and why we're doing this. So I'm Glen, as most of you know, and the name is there. And we're all from Old WIlsonians, and we've started this because, well, me personally, suffering with mental health issues and wanting to do something about it, and reaching out to you guys to sort of see if we can get something going. And obviously it's close to our, you know, cricket club, football club's heart already. So it was only sort of right and you know, made sense for us to do something like this. So that's how Men of the Hill has sort of begun. The idea for us is to engage men, to talk and to engage with other people that may be suffering or may not be suffering with mental health issues, to engage in sport and social activities to promote good well-being. So that's how, you know, we've started, obviously, boys. And yeah, at this point with the situation, we can't really do much in regards to sporting activities or you know, do the plans that we want to do with, you know, charity games and that sort of thing, because of obviously the restrictions that are in place in the UK at the moment. So, you know, we've had to sort of do these Zoom calls every month and the poker games to sort of as an alternative, which obviously is still great, and it's still getting people engaging with men and talking about the stigma that is, you know, mental health. So that's where we are now, really. So I guess today with this first video, we could potentially talk about lots of different things, but for me, I think anxiety is a good place to start, because, you know, we all suffer with anxiety, whether you suffer with mental health issues or not. Everyone suffers with anxiety for whatever reason. So yeah, if everyone's happy to talk about that, then I think we should start with that. And for me personally, I
everyone just have everybody should have a little introduction about themselves and why they're here and things. I think it's a good thing to do as well.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
you approached me about this on the mental health side of things, and for me, I thought, yeah, fantastic idea. We obviously lost Kirk through it, who was a very good friend of mine, and subsequent to that, you know, one of the coaches at the Colts has been lost, and Dave Parkinson, who's a friend of mine from school and an old boy, his son killed himself. He's only a year older than Sam, my son. So I don't know how bad it is. I'm the worst communicator, you know, and that's just, my whole family were like that. We never really addressed issues as a family, you know. If there was a problem, we'd sweep it under the carpet and not talk about it, and that was the way it was. And that is men. That is what they do.
Yeah,
Doug,
exactly.
Doug, it's not just men; it's families as well. Families hide things.
Families as well. Men are worse than women.
I think it's tough. I think as we grow older and these things happening to us, we are learning or to deal with it and face our fears and deal with the anxiety of having to deal with I don't know, growing up being bullied or growing up being, I don't know, just This is good to talk.
Absolutely, and I'm terrible at that, or I have been terrible at that. I've had to learn not to be terrible at that.
Yes. No, as have I. Yeah. Because a lot of people see me as quite an exuberant, bubbly person, but underneath, inside, I shit myself going into situations and I fear it. But it's all, a lot of it is bravado to put it on.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why I'm doing.
I think a lot of us do that, and I'm definitely that way as well. A very, you know, a Wally, talk too much, think I'm the big man, and all that sort of thing. But you know, deep down, and when you know, when I'm at home and on my own or whatever else, it's a very different story, you know. And like you said, Doug, you've got to sort of learn to do that. And I've definitely learned to talk more and open up about things over the last few years, personally, yeah.
And I think part of it as well isn't just, I think there's a bit of a misconception generally that to be able to look after your own mental well-being, or just generally be able to look out for yourself on that side of stuff, that we have to open up and talk. But there are so many other ways that I found useful as well, because I'm just like you guys have said, I'm very much the same. I cannot bring myself to talk about stuff, or it's very, very difficult, especially with certain people, and especially with like family or close friends. I find that more difficult than if I was talking to a stranger. But there are so many other ways of being able to look after yourself and kind of take care of yourself on the mental well-being side of stuff without openly having to talk in, whether that's writing stuff down or journaling, or even just getting out and exercising and getting some fresh air, that kind of stuff, and a bit of self-reflection. It's an option that doesn't often get talked about as much as namely this idea that if you're struggling, you have to talk, when maybe you might not be at that place yet, if you see what I mean.
No, I agree with that, Matt. Writing stuff down is a big. I've done that, and that does help an awful lot. You know, just write stuff down that's on your mind. You know,
Yeah,
and kind of share. It's a problem to share. I sit in business all the time. If I'm struggling with something, if I just talk to someone, I kind of resolve it magically, just because I'm having to think about how to explain to someone almost. Same as writing it down. It's, if you just write it down, it's shared in some respects. You know, you don't.
And I do think there's a part of it as well of where we're as scared of accepting the reality of whatever we're facing ourselves than we are of talking about it to someone else. So writing it down also means that even though nobody else in the world likelihood will ever see what you've written down, but it allows you to take that step to face that yourself. Because like when you're actually putting it onto pen and paper, there's no escaping that reality. You're like, okay,
well, I agree, and I agree with that. And we obviously set this WordPress website up the other day, and I was starting to write like the first blog, and I thought, let me write something about myself, and I just went on for, before I knew it, I'd been there writing 45 minutes of absolute rubbish but after I was like, wow, I feel unbelievable. And then I read it back and none of it made sense, and I was like, Amy, can you look at this and try and turn this into something that's readable to someone else? And she was like, I don't think I can. It's a 45-minute job for me, and probably 3 hours and 45-minute job for her to make it like make sense to anyone else. And but after writing that, all of those different things that I was ranting about, I felt so much better about it, and about the situation that I might have found myself in when I was, you know, with the things I was referring to. So I think that definitely helps. But you know, the idea of talking to someone else as well is obviously great. And I personally find it easier to talk to someone that I'm not close to, than you know, for example, my mum. I've only over the last year I've been able to sort of talk to her about things. And there's unfortunately there's a lot of things that I keep sort of hidden away and haven't discussed with her that I should have probably done 10 years ago. But it's only over the last year I've been able to open up about that sort of thing.
Don't go back and say what you should have done, because that's not good for you, anyone mentally, to regret not doing things. Make the step now to make the change, however small. It's a positive step forward. Yeah. Don't regret things we haven't done, because we can't change it.
No, that's it.
We can only change the way we go forward.
I think the point you've just made there as well, Jasper, of tiny little steps, like that's something that often goes completely unappreciated. I think as humans, this goes for women as well as men, like we have a massive habit of really, really focusing and honing in on the tiny things we do wrong. But then when we make some form of progress, it has to be monumentous progress for us to actually recognize that and celebrate it ourselves. And I think celebrating tiny little steps of progress or tiny little victories, the same way that you might focus on tiny little setbacks, is absolutely bloody crucial. And tiny little steps of progress are a lot more achievable than, you know, this mountain that you feel like you're having to face. So yeah.
So I mean, one of the things that I've found in the lot that obviously this year has started off badly for a lot of people, and you know it's not great. But I've found walking to be a wonderful thing to do. But one of the things I don't want to run around and get massively fit, but I want to walk. But I'm doing is inviting people to walk with me wherever, so we can talk absolute shit in cold, fresh air, in warm, and look at things that we don't look at. Last night I went for a walk with my son at 11 o'clock and we walked for an hour and we took pictures and just spoke about nothing, but we felt so good.
Yeah.
And I think I will publish walks for people and anybody can join me because it's fun.
I think it's a bit of a cliche, you know, people see that as a bit of a cliche, you know, do sport, it makes you feel better if you go to the gym every day and all this sort of thing. And people are like, yeah. But it really does make a difference, you know. In lockdown last year, I mean, I don't do anything really anymore. Well, I hadn't been doing anything anymore really. But I just got obsessed with it every day indoors, doing star jumps and all sorts of stupid exercises. I was doing leading Zooms and exercises with my mates on there as if I was the personal trainer. I mean, that's how much lockdown really caused me to you know, I'd never be doing that sort of thing.
Yeah, your hair doesn't really match the Joe Wick situation.
No, not.
I feel like we need an alternative to Joe Wicks anyway. So you hit the nail bang on the head there.
But it does. You're right. Well, I mean, even at Christmas, you know, normally when we come home at Christmas for, you know, from here, it's meeting everyone and boozing all the time. Obviously, this year there was no pubs open, and all we could do was meet people for walks, and I actually really enjoyed doing that, to be honest. You know, 2 years ago, I'd have said no chance. I'm not going out walking, playing golf in 6 degrees or whatever it was. But I actually really enjoyed it, to be fair. So
yes, it's crazy. It's cold outside, but I would really love to go and play golf.
But
we're not.
It'd be great.
I had about 7 layers on though. What was that, Doug?
I agree.
No, a friend of mine is a serious golf fan. He says, "Oh, I'll teach you golf and stuff." Got to the first hole, he hit miles down. I hit mine, disappeared off into the trees somewhere, and he sort of walked off.
Right.
What you do? He goes, "I don't like to talk and play." I said, "I'm not being funny. I'm not going one more step because golf it's a walk and a chat, and I'll go and find my ball." And that's the way I play golf. It's not about the golf; it's about the chat.
Yeah.
There was a book written by a pro a long time ago called "A Good Walk Spoiled," and it describes golf. Because when you do good golfers that hit it straight, and then there's me that goes zigzag across the greens and zigzag their fairways. Yes.
Yeah, just coming back to what you said, Glenn and Matt alluded to as well. I mean, I wrote a letter to my dad. When I started, I thought, I've got nothing to write here. And I wrote 5 pages in the end.
Yeah.
But it helped a lot.
Yeah, I also done that as well. I look back at that letter I wrote now, and it you know, none of it, the things I said I was going to do and the things that I wrote down, I could not relate to one bit now. You know, I'd never done anything like that, and I wrote pages on pages. but you feel like once you've done that, you've got it's a burden off your shoulders. It's a weight lifted, and I just feel like I'm sort of free once I've offloaded emotions like that. The same with crying. And until probably a couple of years ago, I hadn't cried since I was about 17. Once I'd done that, and it got too much, I don't know what happened, but that was it. I just was like free of I don't know what, but it was just it's amazing how much
it does help. It helps. Crying helps.
Yeah. And now
I have done this week.
Now I do it. Now I do it quite a lot. And I also think it doesn't help with well, it does help, but Amy cries at films, everything, and now I'm like, like I've got to go in there. I've got to go to the toilet now. So once you start learning to do that, it completely, like I put on the post the other day, it completely changed my sort of perception and life, and I've been a lot more able to deal with the dark and the low times, knowing that I can talk to someone or offload it somehow.
Really express yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Even
high blood pressure for years. For years, I've had high blood pressure, and I've been on different sort of tablets and stuff. And you think, you try and work out what it is, and it is. Eventually, do you know what? Getting the dog, and having a dog, and just stroking the dog, walking the dog, etc. and things. But that, and also just sort of just chatting more to people because you go walks and stuff and things. It's come right down. On the basis of those things, and it's all those. It's not one thing; it's all those things. It's having someone there. It's having those regular walks. It's having, because of those walks, I talk more, etc. That's been really helpful for me, and it's come right down on the back of that. When
I'm walking, I talk to perfect strangers as well, just for the fun of it, and they think I must be mad, but it helps me.
Well,
you are.
But you've always spoke to strangers and done that anyway. So.
Actually, that's true. I have. Yeah, you're right.
You do. When you walk a dog, you naturally talk to other dog owners. You're a nice old. Certain people go walking with now, and when you meet up with them because their dogs get on, you chat, and that's the way it is.
I think the other good side of, especially dogs more so than other animals like cats and stuff, is the fact that dogs typically tend to be so genuinely unconditionally loving. So it does not matter if you haven't done your hair that day, or it does not matter if you haven't showered, or if you've not had breakfast or whatever. That dog still, is truly affectionate. It doesn't give a shit whether you've made a silly mistake that you might be embarrassed about, which is where it's slightly different to like family and friends, because even if family and friends don't care about those, you'll still feel like they do. But with a dog, it's just like, it's affectionate towards you anyway. So,
well, within a family, you've got, I guess, not peer pressure, but age pressure. The oldest one, they're the person in charge, and older siblings can find fault in younger siblings and criticize, and actually not do it deliberately, but it hurts you and you hide it, and it takes a long time to process it till you let it get it out and face up to it.
Yeah, there was 4 of us growing up, and God, we used to rip into each other, and we were merciless with each other, and that's just the way it was.
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
It's that side of competition, isn't it? Especially as you say, growing up in your younger years and your adolescent years, it does feel like an ongoing competition. And from what we know generally now is that's a pretty unhealthy place to live in on a day-to-day basis, is constantly comparing and competing with other people, especially that you're close with. And then we find ourselves doing it with, say, friends in a friendship group or other people around us. So even in the workplace and stuff like that. But my God, it's freeing when you realize that, and just realize that actually people don't give as much of a shit about the things you think they do because they're so focused in their own life. It's called the spotlight effect, I think it's called. Where I might be like, this person is judging me because I made that silly mistake or I knocked over that cup of coffee. They think I'm an idiot. They think I'm really clumsy, for example. Chances are that person does not care in the slightest, but we're just working ourselves up with it because we think that everyone cares.
Yeah.
So as soon as I realized personally, all of these things that I was comparing and competing myself with other people, actually, nobody cares apart from me.
Yeah,
Nobody gives a
you're
shit.
right.
I was like, the moment I realized that, I was just like, cool, I can just relax now. I don't care. I can just be me. I can just be myself, and that's that. And everything just became a hell of a lot smoother and more easier to manage as well. You know,
It's even more than that. People want the best from you, don't they? They want the best wherever interaction is. They want the best from you. You know, it's not as if they want the worst for you. They want the best for you.
Yeah.
Even I'm coaching people, you know, just to give presentations and stuff like that and things. It's like, you know what, they want a good presentation. They want the best presentation, and they want you to do well. Everybody's on your side. It's no one's against you in those situations. Oh, they just want the best from you. And if you can relax, then you'll give that. You know? So much better. And relaxation is a big thing as well. Breathing, taking deep breaths and stuff. It does help.
Yeah, especially when you're. What was that, Jasper?
Sorry, Glenn. All I said was my iWatch tells me to do that on a regular basis.
I'm contemplating whether to get one of them.
Take deep breaths.
Breathe.
Yes.
And breathe with your big fat belly comes out as well.
I've lost that. That's gone, my big fat belly.
Yeah, well,
I'm trying to get rid of mine.
I'm growing mine at the moment. It's terrible. Terrible.
Lockdown does that though. I feel like there's a lot of people.
Yeah,
with a lot bigger
that's
bellies.
the thing with having a big belly. At the moment, there's lots of excuses as to why you're allowed to have one.
You get rid of it then. Or you should get rid of it. You don't have to get rid of it.
Oh,
I do think as well, like though, with you have just got to stop and say, breathe for a second, especially, you know, with like we're talking, you know, anxiety and thinking about things too much and getting anxious about things and worrying about things. Just stop and breathe for a second and just chill, because half of the time the things that I worry about haven't even happened yet, might not even happen, and really, when you really sit back and look at it, it's such a small thing a lot of the time. Obviously, you know, people find themselves in different situations and people's worries are different to others, but really in my circumstance, the things that I worry about are such small things, like Matt was saying, that probably no one else really cares that much about.
yes.
So yeah, it's a matter of.
I totally agree with you. We face situations and then we build up reasons to feel nervous about going into it. Whereas if we just stripped it back and took the step, there's actually nothing to fear. But we just build up these reasons not to do and not to engage. And then it just builds up. But really, it's just as Matt said, or we've all said, take small steps and strip it back. It's not difficult. And we're not really being judged. We just think we're being judged.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a saying. I'm going to be that guy that pulls out the cliched saying.
I'm glad you're that guy and not me.
Someone has to be. I'm going to limit it to one saying per Zoom session. So this is.
We've had one already.
So there's a saying that's it's something along the lines of, I'm not what I think I am. I'm not what you think I am. I am what I think you think I am, which takes probably a good couple of hours to really wrap your head around, because that's the most long-winded expression you'll ever hear. But it's
So why don't
essentially
we make that as a topic for the next Zoom call, because that'll take us hours and hours.
yeah, may as well, yeah.
This year we haven't got to think
But yeah,
about what our next Zoom's about now.
Yeah, that's the planning done. Yeah,
Yeah, no
but
planning
no,
for me this
essentially-
week then. Yeah.
but yeah, essentially, it's referring to the concept of what we were talking about, the fact that when it comes to identity and our sense of self, and also our self-worth, we're like, we don't necessarily think, oh, okay, I'm a good person because, I don't know, I'm good at sport, right? We judge that through what we think other people think. So I might think, oh, Jasper, Doug, and Glenn all think I'm really good at football. Therefore, you know, I'm a sporty person, for example, right? But chances are the three of you could think I'm absolutely shite. You lot could think I'm the worst football player you've ever seen in your life. But I'm judging that what I think you think I am. So then it comes to the same thing of what we were saying before, where it's like half the time people really don't care about the things that you think they're caring about. You know, it's like as soon as you realize that it's like through three separate lenses, it's easier to then just dissect it. That's my my tangent over. That's my rant.
That's not a rant or a tangent. That's a very good point.
Thank you.
Yeah. And that's why the club's so good in some respects as well. Even if you take this, even on a step from what you're saying there, as it were, you know, anybody can play at any level. You know, I mean, Al walks around with two new hips, as it were. I'm sure he inspires a lot of people. Do you know what? If he can do it, I think Jenks was hobbling around a pitch of cricket last year. He went. Well, I looked at Al and I thought, well, if Al's got two new hips and he can play, I can still play.
Yeah.
What's your excuse then,
He's a
Jas?
new hit person.
What's your excuse, Jas?
Well, I umpire now, so I don't have to worry about fucking playing.
You took the easy option.
No, trust me.
Not so
standing
easy,
there-
actually.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say I
It's
don't
not-
think I'd choose to be an umpire.
No, even me neither. I remember I wanted to be one quite for a little bit, didn't I? Do you remember?
Yeah.
And then someone shouted at me and I went off and cried. What's that?
I'll encourage you to do it again.
Not sure about
It's
that.
the best place to watch cricket.
I think being a ref in football is the one thing I'd never do. I think that's a different kettle of fish. I think.
The first time I
that's
did it, I thought,
Sunday
oh,
League
God,
referee.
second time was terrible. Yeah. You have good and bad days when you're referees, or you have good and bad teams who are going to rip you apart, whatever things.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it?
It is.
Right.
I think
And the language that I hear from watching Saturday League football or Sunday League football, the abuse the referee gets. My God, I have no desire to be part of that.
I'm going to keep
That's the thing.
quiet.
I
I'm
think
going
as
to
a
keep
ref-
quiet on that front, I think, because I'm not really in a position to...
Surely, Glenn, you've never held any abuse towards a ref. Surely.
I'll tell you what. Was it Jim Matthews? He's had it in the ear a few times when he used to do it. And Lackey as well done it a few times. But I think I've been nice to Lackey actually. I don't think I've ever had a go at him on the football pitch. Yeah. Cricket, though, definitely. I'm sure.
We'll see if we can reach out to him and get his opinions on that.
I know Jim Matthews. I shouted at him once, and then when we got off the pitch in the bar after, he told me off, so I never done it again. But
Chris Carey.
Oh,
But the point is, though, the club, there's so many options for people to get involved at different levels.
Yeah.
You know, we have a trophy. It's called Pikey's People, which is for the people that don't play cricket but do so much for the club.
Yeah.
Clubman of the Year as well, Dougie.
Clubman of the Year, but that includes everybody, anybody, as it were. But Pikey's People is specific for people that don't play cricket but do so much.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important for clubs to recognise that there are those opportunities for people to come in and do so many different things and get involved in that community in so many different ways. Jasper's gone from player to umpire to president to God, whatever, I don't know, barman.
Okay, I'd stop there. Stop there.
Yeah.
I haven't got to God yet. I'm still here.
He's now got all creative and stuff, and the outside's all done up nice, you know, Jasper style. You can see the Gundry White style there now, you know. But he's 100% committed, and the difference he's making is fantastic. What you do, Jasper, is amazing. And if you compare to where you were, just someone that pitched up to play cricket, and what you do now, you know, even though you don't play cricket and you do umpire things, you're more committed than anybody else in the club, you know? And that's where I think it's so important that people recognise they have the opportunity to get involved in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Well,
I think that side of it was one of the reasons why I really stayed involved, shall we say, from such a young age when I first started with Old WIlsonians. Like, I must have probably been about 10 or 11 years old, I think, starting to play cricket around that age.
Yeah.
But because obviously my older brother had joined first. And then my dad was kind of getting involved. Then my mum and dad would always come up to the club for, you know, just to have a drink and watch whatever cricket was going on.
Yeah.
And before you know it, it becomes like a whole family gets integrated into the club itself as a community. And it's like, my mum, I don't think she has ever done any sport since she was probably about 20 years old, and she'll probably have a go at me if I'm wrong on that. But yeah, I think just the fact that, you know, she still felt completely involved with the club and everything like that. So as you say, Doug, there's so many different ways where everybody can still feel part of that community.
Well, it's like being in a family, isn't it, really? And everyone, especially at our, you know, club, everyone looks out for each other. Everyone helps each other out. It's not just about the sport or the cult stuff. You know, it's the social events that we do, and the drinks after the matches, and everything else. You know, and that's what it's really about. You know, so for me, you know, when I was 20, 18, 19, 20. Coming down, having drinks after, people give me a lift home, all sort of stuff like that is what it's all about, and you appreciate that because people care and people, you know, look after each other, and that for me is there's nothing better than that, really, you know.
Yeah,
I think the ethos is across all the clubs within Old WIlsonians. The football, when you consider there's 8, 9, 11s playing when we can. And, you know, the first 11, yeah, they're good players and they're all up there for a reason. But, you know, people can play in a 9th 11 and feel comfortable being not being very good, but playing and enjoying it.
Yeah.
And the way that some of the older guys who, you know, go down the teams, giving back to those youngsters. Same with cricket, same with football. It's a nice place. It's a nice club because there is a lot of sharing, although there is also competition, which gets frustrating. But it's a great place to be.
Yeah, and I think there's probably there's other clubs that have the same you know thing as we do, and you know, not to say that we're the best, we probably are, but there's probably other clubs that do this and have the same thing, and I think it's great. I think it's good and important for us to be able to build relationships with other sports clubs, whether it be rugby, football, whatever it might be, to make sure that we're making men's mental health, women's mental health, you know, raise awareness for it and promote it through clubs like our own, and engaging people in a club, not just to play sport, but just to be involved in something like what we got, and what, you know, people that care about it the most have created, really, from when the cricket club started in 96, 97, whenever it was, I can't remember now, the cult side of things, but what it is now.
I think it's 21, 22 years, isn't it, Doug, or something now?
Yeah, I think it's 21, 22, yeah. So it must be 1999, 2000.
99,
Yeah, well, I was 8, so when I started with Dave and Craig and whoever else was there. There's only 5 of us, I think, 6 of us. So we didn't even have a team. We were all different age groups. So yeah, so where it is now, and then that doesn't happen because of how good people are at the sport. It's the people that are passionate about it, and that's what's most important. And people coming together to create an environment that people want to be in.
It changed the club. The club used to be men only. It really was. And when cricket finished, they'd have a couple of beers and people would go. Same as football does now, actually. Because the families got involved, during the cricket season, you go back to the club at 10:30, it'd be rammed. It's fantastic. There's a great atmosphere there. And the first 11 will come down, they'll come back and they'll talk to the fifth 11 or anybody, the supporters. Everybody talks to everybody. It's such an amazing environment to come back to. It's incredible. You don't see that very often at any clubs.
I think that the way we all come back to the club after a game, it's not mandatory, but it's just become part of our mantra and part of the club. Wherever you play, you have a drink with the oppo, one, and then you're back to the club to tell everybody else and find out what's gone on. Yeah. Yeah. And it makes such a difference. It's such a nice, you walk in the club, anybody walks in the club and goes, yay! It's such a lovely thing to have, as it were. And I've had that with old boys. I haven't been to the club for 20 years. Brian Watts was a case in point. He disappeared for 10 years and then came back to the club, him and Graham, and they literally walked in, and in the corner was my old man, Kendo, Brindle, this whole bunch of old blokes. They're just like, oh my God, I haven't been away. Yeah, and didn't your father say also as soon as Brian came back, he said, oh, £2, please. £2. It'd be a shilling and sixpence for those days. Yeah.
I think I had a really similar experience, to be honest. So for anyone watching this who doesn't kind of really know how my situation, how that ties into Old WIlsonians, I left London to move up to Leeds, Huddersfield, Yorkshire area generally. I've lived up here for probably the past kind of 7 years or so. So for the past 7 years, I've not actually been there at Old WIlsonians, and I think I went down like last year. I think I went up there with my parents once, just on a random day off. And I was kind of thinking, I was like, club probably would have changed a lot, and then I'll see many familiar faces, like, just walk in there, kind of have a quiet drink, and then, that's that. And my God, the welcome was something else. Like, I just walked in, there were so many familiar faces, but everyone was just like really glad to see me, and I was glad to see other people as well. It was just a great environment to walk back into, and it was almost like nothing had changed. It was kind of a familiar feeling.
Yes, so as a president of the cricket club, we expect you to play again one day.
I'll do my best. I'll absolutely do that. You probably won't want me to, I can promise you that.
I don't know. The club captain's on the call as well, and he wants you to play again.
Oh, yeah, it's my new role.
We'll see if you still want me to play after I've played one game. We'll see after that.
I reckon you should have a 6th 11 with father, son. You can bring your dad, be fine. Mum can do the teas. Get your Dingo down as well.
I don't know how long my dad would last, to be honest, but
he can drink. He'd be all right. He can do drinking.
Yeah, he can look after the bar.
But it is, and it's nice to have those things. And that's where, like, I play super vets now, and we love to a man playing super vets because it's people we've grown up playing football with. We might not have seen them for us. There's someone I hadn't seen since school, and he pitched up, and it's like, oh my God, and he's straight back into it. Still taking the piss out of him for whatever else at school and things, but that's life. But it's nice to have those sorts, you can just pick up those relationships, as it were. They just come and go, oh my God, I know everybody pretty much here. You were year above. And it's not always about the school and things nowadays, because the Old WIlsonians is much more than that now. It's open. There is to me, you know, it's ridiculous. Anybody thinks it's closed anymore. It is. It's completely open, and everybody supports everybody. And having like an older cricket team actually was something perhaps we could think about, getting all the older players back in that haven't played for years, and getting getting them to play against other clubs that do that as well. You know, it works so well with football, I've got to say.
I think that'd actually be quite a good concept. It's quite a good idea.
Do you know, like the father-son cricket matches got the dads playing cricket again, which is brilliant.
Yes.
That's got so many good things that came back to the club, because all these dads are like, I want to play with my son. I've coached so many dads in the nets in the winter. Let's just help you get back to bowling straight, so you can have a bowl. On the 11, if you can bowl straight, you're a threat. If you can hit the stumps, you're a genuine threat.
That was my problem. I knew I got something wrong.
It was interesting. We a few years ago, this was before I moved up north. Me and a couple of my mates organised a fathers v sons footy match, just between us as mates and all of our dads. And it was meant to be just a bit of a laugh thing up the local park kind of thing. My God, it was so competitive. I couldn't, wasn't expecting it. And you know what? The dads actually gave us a good run for our money. And I hate to say it. I absolutely hate to say it. I think we won 2-1, only just. But they put up a good battle. We've got to give it to them.
When I watched the junior football, because the junior football at the club has been a tremendous success, starting with one team to have, I think, 32 teams now.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And the different age groups. And again, for me, having as I think people regard me as a fixture, which is a shame, but no, I'm there to see the same thing in junior football. I've seen with junior cricket, families coming, people coming, and seeing people evolve and change. It's wonderful. But the bit that you're saying, father son, watching the parents or the kids and the coaches play, that is the most competitive football, because they all want to win, but they don't. But they really do.
You pretend you don't want to care, but you do.
Yeah.
I've never lost a father-son cricket match when I've been
There you go. We've ended it on a competitive nature. I'm not going to move.
I suppose, and well, I suppose we've been going for 45 minutes now, so I don't know whether this pre-Zoom will cut off or not.
No, there was a sign came up, said you've upgraded to you can go as long as you like.
It's basically because of the pandemic, Zoom have basically lifted the restrictions. So on a free account, you can just go as long as you want for now.
Really? Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
Thank you, Zoom.
Yeah, thanks, Zoom. I'll tag them when we put the post up, so they know we're grateful. No, we haven't got to pay the £100 a year thing or whatever it is for a bit. Anyway, so I think this has been good.
For the next minute, is this the format? How regular is it? It's what, once a week, once a month?
Well, I think we've got the call next week, right? So the 24th, and then we'll try and engage some other people on that. What is to get more people on there, and obviously if we get more of a big reception, then and people want to do it more often, then obviously we can do that. I'm happy to do that. We could do it sort of every 2 weeks, or as often as you guys and anyone else wants to do it. But
we'll publish this, won't we? We can put this in the Facebook.
This will all go on Facebook and everything. And we'll see what we get next week. I think next week we've got a few different sports clubs joining, a couple of guys from the Streatham Croydon Rugby Club. I'm going to try and get someone on from Beckenham Rugby Club. If anyone,
Reetham stuff.
Beckenham Rugby Club actually have got something going on already, and they said you know, they do like a sevens tournament or a tens tournament or something. If you if you guys want to put a team in, I was like, for rugby, I thought I don't know, we'll have to ask about for that, but I definitely won't be involved in him playing. But
They did get a team out.
yeah, I'm sure
John
we can
Davis.
find some people. I said, is it tag rugby? And she said, no, no, unfortunately not. So yeah, I mean, we'll just see what happens next. You know, as we go, we just got to keep doing this and offering, you know, the platform for people to engage, and we go from there. Really, yeah. But anyway, I suppose we call it a day for today, and yeah, thanks very much.
Yeah, good chatting, guys.
Cheers, chaps.
Thank you, gentlemen.